The rejection letter was only 3 sentences long, but Jackie Chan had memorized every word. February 15, 1998. DreamWorks letterhead. Steven Spielberg's stamped signature at the bottom. Thank you for your interest in the Peacemaker project. After careful consideration, we've decided to go in a different direction. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Different direction. Jackie knew exactly what that meant. It meant American direction, white direction. It meant George Clooney. Jackie crumpled the letter and threw it in the trash of his Beverly Hills hotel room, where it joined 2 others. 3 rejections, 3 projects, 3 times Steven Spielberg, the man who'd made E.T. cry and dinosaurs walk, had looked at Jackie Chan's work and decided he wasn't good enough for a real Hollywood film. 7 years later, on February 27, 2005, Jackie would stand on the Kodak Theater stage at the 77th Academy Awards, holding an honorary Oscar that felt heavier than any stunt injury he'd ever carried. In the audience, Steven Spielberg would rise to his feet, applauding. But the story of how they got from rejection to recognition is one Hollywood has tried desperately to forget, because it exposes the uncomfortable truth about how the dream factory really works. The first rejection came in 1998. Jackie was 44, theoretically at the peak of his Hollywood crossover. Rush Hour had just exploded at the box office, proving that American audiences would accept him, as long as he played the fish-out-of-water Asian who spoke broken English and knew kung fu. His agents at CAA were fielding offers, but Jackie wanted more. He wanted Spielberg. "You don't understand," Jackie told his manager Willie Chan during a tense meeting at the Peninsula Hotel. "Spielberg makes history. Everyone else makes movies." Willie, ever practical, had tried to temper expectations. "Steven Spielberg doesn't cast Asian leads. Name one. In his entire career, name one Asian actor in a leading role." Jackie couldn't, but that was exactly why he wanted it so badly. The Peacemaker wasn't even a Spielberg directing project. He was producing through DreamWorks. But Jackie's team had intelligence that Spielberg was personally involved in casting, looking for someone to play a nuclear weapons expert who teams with a military officer to stop a terrorist plot. The role was written ethnically neutral. It could have been anyone. Jackie had his agents arrange a meeting. Not an audition. Jackie Chan did an audition in 1998. A meeting. Just 2 filmmakers discussing a potential collaboration. The meeting never happened. Spielberg's office called the morning of, apologizing profusely. Steven was caught up in Saving Private Ryan post-production. Could they reschedule? Of course, Jackie said. They never called back. 3 weeks later, the trades announced George Clooney had been cast in The Peacemaker. The nuclear expert was now a military colonel from Kentucky. The different direction was Southeast to Midwest, Asian to American, Jackie Chan to Batman. "It's business," Willie had said, trying to soften the blow. "It's not personal." But Jackie knew better. In Hollywood, everything was personal disguised as business. The second rejection came in 2001. Jackie was riding higher than ever. Rush Hour 2 had shattered box office records. Shanghai Noon had proved he could carry a Western. His price per film had climbed to $15 million. Steven Spielberg was casting Minority Report. This time, Jackie's approach was different. He didn't pursue the lead. That was obviously going to Tom Cruise. But there was a supporting role, a cyberpunk hacker who helps Cruise navigate the future. The character was described in the script as ethnically ambiguous, possibly Asian, definitely dangerous. "This is it," Jackie's agent at CAA had insisted. "Spielberg is literally looking for an Asian actor. The role requires physical capability. You're perfect." Jackie even had an inside track. His Rush Hour director Brett Ratner was friends with Spielberg. Ratner made the call personally, vouching for Jackie's dramatic ability, his work ethic, his box office power. "Steven was polite," Ratner reported back after a lunch at Amblin. "He said he's a big fan of your work, loves the physicality, loves the humor, but what? He said Minority Report exists in a very specific universe. He needs someone who can disappear into the role. Your persona is too big. The audience would see Jackie Chan, not the character." 2 months later, Spielberg cast an unknown British actor named Colin Farrell as the cyber hacker, who was no longer Asian, no longer ambiguous, just another white guy in a noir future. Too big, Jackie repeated to his reflection in his Hong Kong apartment. In China, he was a god. In America, he was simultaneously too big and too small, too famous to disappear into a role, too Asian to be given one worth disappearing into. The third rejection was the one that broke something inside Jackie. 2003. Spielberg was producing The Terminal through DreamWorks and directing simultaneously. The story of a man trapped in an airport, stateless and homeless, trying to navigate American bureaucracy with dignity and hope. Jackie didn't even need his agents for this one. He and Spielberg were at the same CAA party in December 2002. After 3 drinks, Jackie approached him directly. "Stephen," Jackie said, catching the director near the bar, "The Terminal. I read the script." Spielberg's smile was practiced, professional. "Jackie, how are you? Congratulations on Shanghai Nights." "The Terminal," Jackie pressed. "Victor Navorsky, he's an immigrant, doesn't speak perfect English, physical comedy, heart. This is my story, Stephen. This is every immigrant's story." For a moment, just a moment, Spielberg's mask slipped. Jackie saw something flicker across his face. Consideration, embarrassment, fear. "We're very far along in the process," Spielberg said carefully, "but I'd love to work with you someday, the right project." "When is someday?" Jackie asked, the alcohol making him bolder than usual. "After Rush Hour 10? After I'm too old to do my own stunts? When I'm safe?" Spielberg's assistant appeared as if summoned by discomfort. "Stephen, the Weinsteins are asking for you." "We should talk more," Spielberg said, already moving away. "Have your people call my people." They both knew he didn't mean it. 6 weeks later, Variety announced Tom Hanks would star in The Terminal. Victor Navorsky was now from a fictional Eastern European country, not Asian. Never Asian. The same heartwarming immigration story, just white enough to be universal. Jackie stopped pursuing Spielberg after that, but the rejections had lit something inside him, not just anger, but determination. He threw himself into his work with new intensity. The Medallion, Around the World in 80 Days, films that weren't great, but they were his. He had control. Then came 2004, the year everything in Hollywood shifted, though no one realized it yet. It started with a phone call from Zhang Yimou. The Chinese director was riding high on Hero's unexpected American success. Tarantino had championed it. Audiences were responding to subtitled martial arts films in ways distributors never expected. "They want us in Hollywood now," Zhang told Jackie over dinner in Beijing, "but only on their terms, as curiosities, as exotic flavors. You've been fighting this fight for 20 years. What do you think changes it?" "Recognition," Jackie said without hesitation. "Real recognition, not box office, not popularity, institutional recognition, the kind they can't take away." Zhang smiled. "The Academy. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Oscars, the ultimate Hollywood validation." Jackie had been a member since 1997, but he'd never been nominated, never even whispered about. Action stars didn't get Oscars. Asian action stars? The idea was laughable. But Zhang Yimou had a plan, the honorary Oscar, for lifetime achievement, for contribution to cinema. "I'm 50, Jackie protested. "That's for old directors, retired actors." "Or," Zhang said carefully, "for people Hollywood doesn't know how to honor any other way." The campaign that followed was unlike any Oscar campaign before or since. Not for your consideration ads or screenings or parties. This was about forcing Hollywood to confront what Jackie Chan represented, not just as an entertainer, but as a pioneer who'd influenced every action film made in the last 2 decades. Letters were written, not from Jackie's camp, but from directors and actors whose careers he'd influenced. Quentin Tarantino wrote a passionate 3-page letter to the Academy Board about how Jackie had revolutionized cinema. The Wachowskis detailed how The Matrix wouldn't exist without Jackie's innovations. Even Brett Ratner, despite his own problematic reputation, penned an eloquent defense of Jackie's contributions. But the key letter came from an unexpected source, Steven Spielberg. Nobody knows exactly what prompted Spielberg to write it. Some say it was guilt, Others claim it was Kathleen Kennedy, Spielberg's longtime producer, who pushed him to recognize his own biases. The most credible theory is that Spielberg's daughter, Sasha, then 14, had discovered Jackie's Hong Kong films and asked her father a simple question. Why haven't you ever worked with him? Whatever the reason, Spielberg's letter to the Academy Board was devastating in its honesty. For too long, he wrote, Hollywood has accepted the innovations and artistry of international cinema while excluding the innovators and artists themselves. Jackie Chan hasn't just performed stunts, he has authored a new language of action that every filmmaker, myself included, has borrowed from. His exclusion from our highest honors is not his failure. It's ours. The letter was supposed to be confidential. Academy business always was. But someone, theories range from a disgruntled assistant to a board member with a conscience, leaked it to Variety. The headline ran on December 15, 2004. Spielberg champions Jackie Chan for honorary Oscar, admits Hollywood's failure. The backlash was immediate and vicious. Old Hollywood closing ranks. How dare Spielberg air the industry's dirty laundry? How dare he suggest systemic bias? Anonymous quotes flooded the trades. Jackie Chan is a stuntman, not an artist. If we give honorary Oscars to everyone who does their own stunts, what's next? WWE wrestlers? This is about merit, not diversity quotas. But Spielberg, to his credit, didn't back down. At a DGA screening of The Terminal, the film Jackie had wanted so badly, a reporter asked him about the letter. I stand by every word, Spielberg said. And if the Academy doesn't recognize Jackie Chan, it's not Jackie who will look foolish in 20 years. It's us. The Academy Board met in January 2005. The discussion, according to multiple sources who were present, was heated. The old guard argued that Jackie was too commercial, too young, too foreign. The newer members pushed back, citing his influence, his innovation, his sheer body of work. The vote was close. Closer than anyone would admit publicly. But in the end, Jackie Chan was approved for an Honorary Academy Award. The announcement came on February 3, 2005, buried in a press release with other honorary recipients. But the symbolism was clear. Hollywood's most exclusive club had finally opened its doors, even if just a crack, to acknowledge what the rest of the world already knew. Oscar night, February 27, 2005. The Kodak Theater hummed with nervous energy. Jackie sat in the third row, his tuxedo custom-tailored, but somehow still feeling foreign on his body. Around him, Hollywood's elite pretended this was normal, just another honorary award, just another night. Willie Chan leaned over. You know Spielberg's here? Jackie nodded. He'd seen him arrive, surrounded by his usual entourage. They hadn't spoken since that CAA party 2 years ago. The letter had created a strange dynamic, gratitude mixed with resentment. Why now? Why not then? The honorary awards were presented during a separate ceremony, not part of the main broadcast. Hollywood's way of honoring while still marginalizing. But Jackie didn't care. He'd spent his career making the best of limited opportunities. When his name was called, the standing ovation was genuine but complicated. Half the room was celebrating his achievement. The other half was congratulating themselves for recognizing it. Jackie walked to the stage, each step feeling like a vindication and an indictment simultaneously. His speech was brief, gracious, carefully scrubbed of controversy by publicists and advisors. He thanked his stunt team, he thanked his fans, he thanked Hollywood for finally opening the door. He didn't mention the rejections, the roles rewritten for white actors, the decades of being good enough to copy but not to cast. That wasn't what tonight was about. But after the ceremony, at the governor's ball, Steven Spielberg approached him. The director looked older, grayer, carrying the weight of Munich's production. He held 2 glasses of champagne, offering one to Jackie. Congratulations, Spielberg said simply. Jackie accepted the glass but didn't drink. Thank you for the letter. I meant every word. Now you mean it. The words hung between them like an accusation. Spielberg didn't deny it. I owe you an apology, Spielberg said finally. Not just for The Terminal or Minority Report, for not seeing, for making films about outsiders and underdogs while keeping real outsiders outside. Jackie studied the most powerful director in Hollywood, the man who could greenlight any project, cast any actor, tell any story. Except he'd chosen not to tell Jackie's. "Apologies are words," Jackie said. "What about actions?" Spielberg smiled ruefully. "I'm developing a project about the Transcontinental Railroad, the Chinese workers who built it, forgotten history. I'd like you to—" "No." The rejection was swift, decisive. Spielberg blinked, surprised. "No? You want me to play a historical Chinese laborer? Another stereotype? Jackie Chan builds railroads instead of doing kung fu?" Jackie shook his head. "This is your idea of progress? It's a serious dramatic role, a chance to show your range." "My range?" Jackie's voice rose slightly. Several nearby guests pretended not to notice. "I've made 100 films. Comedy, drama, action, romance. You've seen Rush Hour and think that's my range?" Spielberg was flustered now, the careful Hollywood polish cracking. "I'm trying to what? Fix your guilt? Use me to prove you're not biased anymore?" Jackie set down his untouched champagne. "Stephen, you're a great filmmaker, but you see the world through one lens. Everything is filtered through your experience. E.T. is an immigrant story told by someone who never immigrated. Schindler's List is about outsiders told by an insider. You make beautiful films about the other, but you can't see the other as equals." The words weren't angry. They were worse. They were disappointed. A teacher explaining to a student why they'd failed despite their potential. "Then help me see," Spielberg said quietly. "Produce it with me. Tell the story right." For a moment, Jackie considered it. The most powerful director in Hollywood asking for his help, his guidance, his approval. 20 years ago, he would have said yes instantly. Even 5 years ago, after the first rejection, he might have agreed. But now, holding an honorary Oscar that simultaneously celebrated and sidelined him, Jackie understood something fundamental. "You don't need my help to see," Jackie said. "You need to want to see, and that's not something I can teach you." He walked away, leaving Steven Spielberg standing alone at his own industry's biggest celebration, holding 2 glasses of champagne. The encounter should have ended their story. 2 ships passing in Hollywood's night, briefly illuminating each other's limitations before sailing on. But Hollywood is a small town with a long memory. Over the following years, as Jackie's career evolved, the Karate Kid remake, voicing Kung Fu Panda, earning respect as an elder statesman, Spielberg's films grew more inclusive. He cast Lupita Nyong'o. He produced films with diverse leads. He hired Asian cinematographers, editors, composers. Industry insiders debated whether the Jackie Chan conversation had sparked this evolution, or if it was simply Spielberg adapting to changing times. The director never spoke publicly about that Oscar night encounter. Jackie mentioned it only once in a Beijing interview where he said, "Sometimes the best teaching is showing someone what they missed." In 2016, Jackie received his second honorary Oscar, this time on the main broadcast, full recognition at last. Steven Spielberg was in the audience again, older now, his applause perhaps more knowing than before. They didn't speak that night, there was nothing left to say. But in 2018, something unexpected happened. Jackie was in Los Angeles for a film festival when his assistant informed him someone had left a package at his hotel. Inside was a DVD, no label, just a handwritten note. "You were right. SS." The DVD contained test footage from 2003, The Terminal, but not the version that was made. This was different footage. Screen tests with Asian actors reading for Victor Navorsky, Korean actors, Japanese actors, Chinese actors, hours of footage that had never been seen. At the end, a single frame of text. "We tested extensively. The studio said the audience wouldn't connect with an Asian lead in this role. I didn't fight hard enough. I'm sorry." Jackie watched the footage alone in his hotel room, seeing what could have been. Asian actors bringing depth and nuance to a role about displacement and belonging. Each one brilliant, each one rejected. He never responded to Spielberg's gesture. What was there to say? The films were made, the opportunities were lost, the industry had moved on, slowly, grudgingly, incrementally. But sometimes, in interviews, when asked about Hollywood's diversity problems, Jackie would say, "Change doesn't come from apologies. It comes from different choices. Every day, someone in power makes a choice. Cast this person or that person, tell this story or that story, see this way or that way. The choices add up. They become the industry. They become the culture." He never mentioned Spielberg by name in these interviews. He didn't have to. Everyone knew the subtext, the three rejections that defined an era, the Oscar night that exposed the machinery, the reconciliation that came too late to matter. Steven Spielberg went on to make more inclusive films, though he never cast Jackie Chan. Jackie went on to receive Lifetime Achievement Awards from festivals worldwide, each one a reminder of what Hollywood had almost missed entirely. Their paths occasionally crossed at industry events, a nod, a wave, cordial but distant. The real tragedy wasn't the films they didn't make together. It was what those unmade films represented. A Hollywood that could recognize genius but couldn't cast it, could celebrate diversity but couldn't practice it, could apologize for the past but couldn't quite change the future. In his 2020 memoir, Jackie wrote one line about Spielberg. "He taught me that even the most powerful people in Hollywood are prisoners of the system they created." Spielberg never publicly responded to the memoir. But those close to him say he keeps a photo in his office, not of his films or his awards, but of that 2005 Oscar night. Jackie Chan on stage, accepting an honor that came too late, smiling at an industry that loved his action but couldn't see his art. The photo serves as a reminder of chances missed, of biases unexamined, of the difference between making films about outsiders and letting outsiders make films. 3 rejections, 1 letter, an apology delivered on obsolete technology. The Steven Spielberg-Jackie Chan story isn't Hollywood's most dramatic feud or its most heartwarming reconciliation. It's something more uncomfortable, a mirror held up to an industry that prefers its progress in montages, not real time. But perhaps that's the most Hollywood ending of all. 2 men who could have changed cinema together, instead changing it apart, leaving us to wonder what might have been if the director who made us believe in aliens could have believed in Jackie Chan.